Well, folks, welcome to another Ford Crown Victoria video, and this is likely the last Crown Victoria video on this channel. It's a very bittersweet, and I'm just going to say, a sad moment. I've very much enjoyed this car for the last 5.5 years, so just wanted to pay a little bit of homage to it during this final video. I have someone coming to look at it today. Likely they're going to pick it up. If not, I'll put it on Marketplace, and it'll probably be gone here sometime in the next few days. This has been a great car. These have been great cars. I've owned the three of them, the Mercury Grand Marquis. That one wasn't so good, the Silver Crown Vic, which is an excellent car, and of course, this one. But like I said, the previous video, all cars have their time for everybody. And unfortunately for me, this is the end of the era for me of driving the Crown Vics. It's truly been a blast. The community's been fun. It's been awesome doing the YouTube videos for you guys, and I know you guys have enjoyed them as well, whether it's the ride-along videos or just my update videos or the 0 to 60 videos, because we all love the sound of the Ford Crown Vic going wide open throttle. Just whatever, or my winter update videos. I still got the winter tires on it just because I really don't drive it a ton, and honestly, it wasn't worth changing out the tires because I intended to sell it since the start of the new year, which I made pretty clear in previous videos. I don't figure it's going to take too long to sell, even with the flex plate likely being the main issue, and then probably going to need a gas tank. You just can't find these cars anywhere, and especially here at least, and I suspect it's going to sell quite quickly, because just for the fact that they're impossible to find, and overall the body is still in very good shape. There's really, besides those main couple of issues, there's not a ton wrong with it. Like, yeah, you're probably gonna have to get the rocker panels patched once again here in another year or two, and then a couple other things that are gonna have to get done. But like I said, it's been a great car. For those that didn't watch the last video, the Ford Fusion Hybrid Energy is what's going to be replacing it, and part of the reason why I bought that one is because it's under recall, and the battery pack is going to be getting replaced at the end of this year or sometime next year, and then legally Ford has to put another 8-year warranty on it. So it was kind of a no-brainer, saving $2,600 on fuel alone just by driving hybrid, without even counting it as being a plug-in hybrid. So if once I'm able to start plugging it in more and whatnot, I'll be able to end up, I'll really be saving about $3,200 a year. So that money adds up quick, and that car doesn't need a flex plate, doesn't need rust repairs, doesn't need a gas tank, and doesn't need a couple of other things. So at the end of the day, I ran the spreadsheets over and over and over and over again. It made more sense for me to retire this car, as hard as it is. And also, you got to remember, with an old car, it's going to be put up more for repairs. So it's just one of those things, and I don't really have time to do these repairs. When they do pop up all the time, I need to be able to get into my car and go like 9 times out of 10, or you know what I mean, 99% of the time. I just don't really have time to be getting car repairs done all the time. I need my car to be dependable, and I just need it to work all the time. Like I said, the Crown Vic still gets me A to B, don't get me wrong, but just the amount of repairs that have needed to happen over the course of the last year and a half have all just piled on so quickly. I'm like, I just can't afford the downtime, because the flex plate's an all-day job, then you need to sit there for the gas tank for another few hours, and then you got to eventually get the rockers patched back up again. Like I said, it just did not make sense for me to keep pouring money into it. For me, and for somebody else, it would make sense for them, but for me, it does not. So like I said, I'm thinking I'm going to sell the car for anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000, and I don't know if that's over or under with the issues that it needs. So I'll kind of let the market play it by price, I guess, and we'll see what happens. I will be very sad when this drives out of the driveway, whether that's today or a week from now. I'm going to miss the heck out of this car. I loved every moment driving it, even when it did break down and made me angry. These cars are excellent, guys. So like I said, if you get an opportunity to get one, and you're still in the market for one, that is, just get one. Yeah, it's going to cost you more to run. Yeah, gas is going to cost more. But they're just great cars. They're a fun car. So if you're in it for the enthusiast part of it, which I partly was, I was partly in it for the daily driver and the enthusiast side of it. It was about 50-50 split on that one. Just get one. Even if you only get it for a year or two just to enjoy it, just do it. Then you can say you drove one, you had one. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it at some point. And 5 years down the road, when you can't find them literally anywhere, even in the States, they're getting harder to find. So in 5 years down the road, like especially in Canada, you won't be able to find a single one of these. They're so sparse now. If you look on Kijiji or Marketplace, there's probably only 10 or 12 for sale across the whole country. You just can't find them. So they really are, they have become a rare car, and in the States they're becoming a rarer car. They're not rare like they are up here in Canada at this point, but they're becoming rare, especially if you want to clean one, and you got to pay up the butt if you want to clean one. So like I said, get one, guys. If you don't, you're absolutely going to regret it. Like I said, I'm going to be very sad selling this. Going to hurt a little bit on the inside for a while, not seeing it in the driveway. But like I said, I know for me, financially speaking, I have made the right decision in the long run. And maybe the Fusion isn't as fun to drive, but I will say it does drive very nice. I don't really have any complaints with it, like no highway noise, no road noise. Very, very quiet, and still a very comfortable car. And like I said, don't get me wrong, the seats on this are still better than what's on that one, but overall the Crown Vic is always going to win with the seat comfort. That one wins in the comfort with all the other ways. Like I said, sound deadening, the fact that you don't have to, or like it's got both power seats, heated seats, like it's got all that stuff. And quite honestly, like I said, I know for some of you that doesn't really matter. It's got auto start, but at the end of the day, it is a very comfortable car. It actually rides over the bumps smoother on that than it does on this one. So I took this old puppy for a drive about 2 days ago. Stupid mosquitoes in the rain. I took this old puppy for a drive about 2 days ago and accepted that that was my last drive. But I will, for one final time, fire it up. As you can see, I got her pretty cleaned up here on the inside. The seats, one little stain there and there that just needs to get taken out, but nothing crazy. Every seat's going to get a stain after it's been here for 17 and a half years, and especially being that it was a cop car before me. They're all going to have a couple of stains here and there usually, and thankfully this interior is quite easy to clean. So I got all the floors shined up and whatnot. Got everything done. Look at the size of the key fob for the Ford Fusion, by the way. It's massive. It's friggin' bigger than the key almost, and the Crown. So here's my Crown Victoria key, and there's the key fob for the Ford Fusion. Look, I think, yeah, it's bigger. The fob for the Ford Fusion's bigger than what the key is on the Crown Victoria. So, one final time, guys. Let's enjoy the sound together. Still, even with the flex plate under there, you can hear it a little bit when I but hit it. Just an all-around great car. So I drove this thing from 120,000 kilometers up to 181,590. So we put 61,000 kilometers on it. So I owned it for a third of its life. Or of its kilometer life anyway, and about a third of its years as well, in the age perspective. Been an amazing vehicle. I had to do a couple grand of fixes on it when I first got it, and then it was great for a while. Then I had about another $1,000 or $2,000, and then this year everything is just kind of piled on, and I said, it's time to accept. She's telling me something, and that's kind of where I'm at. I love it, and like I said, the next person that, and also the idle hours, 276 idle hours, what we're ending at. And no, this odometer was not replaced. It was retired with 91 hours at 91,000 kilometers from the RCMP in Wolfville. It was mostly an administrative vehicle, from what I can gather, because there was no cage in the rear at all. Yeah, no cage or nothing. Back seat still looks brand new. Most of the interior still looks brand new. So when I purchased this vehicle, I had 184 idle hours on it or something like that, or 174. I ended up packing on a few idle hours for sure. I ended up putting on quite a few idle hours when one of my family members went missing about 20 minutes away from where I live. About 4 years ago, I ended up putting on about 60 idle hours or 50 idle hours just in 1 week alone, because it was just one of those situations where you just let the car run and you just hop into her whenever something popped up, or just one of those weeks where I just let the car run. It kind of ended up doing a bit of its old job for a change, I guess, in that respective. At least it got used that way for that week. Went a little off-roading a couple of times, and yeah, so just had to use it how I had to use it that week back in 2020. Wasn't a good week. But anyways, so that added up over half the idle hours that I ended up putting on the vehicle, and the other ones had just been from natural use generally. So they said that the odometer is factory. Yeah, hardly any holes in here. We only got 3 holes, and that's it. And you can see where the lights used to be up in the corner up there. So like I said, that's all. That's the only sign. And then there's the 2 holes up here. So they had a light here, and it looks like a light there, and a light here, because there's a little bit of residue left back there. So I assume that that's where they had them. There's probably a couple lights up in there. So that's, or that might have been the dash cam, and they probably just had the lights here, I believe. That would make more sense. That was probably the dash cam. So, or that was, I don't really know. But anyways, this was unit 50E4 is what it started its life as. And like I said, they drove it all the way to 91,000 kilometers at the RCMP detachment. Before retiring it, it looked like it was about 2012 or 2013, back when they didn't keep the cars quite as long, and they aged them out by age most of the time instead of kilometers back then. Even when you looked on Kijiji or the auction website, on the surplus website, it wasn't uncommon to find Crown Victorias, even the white ones that were used as general patrol duty, 3 or 4 year old ones, selling with 130, 135,000 kilometers and about 2,000 idle hours. Someone would buy it, drive them another 5-10 years. And they'd only sell for $1,200-$1,300 at the auction. And of course, that was back over 10 years ago now, or about 10 years ago. So those days have long come and passed, unfortunately, for the Crown Vics. And now here we are. And I remember too, when the they stopped making the Crown Vics, people were like, you're going to be able to find them for years and years and years. They're going to be cheap. They made a couple million of them. You'll never not be able to find one. Well, of course, as time would have it, those people that said that were very wrong, I think we could say. I mean, yes, you can still find one, but they were claiming that you could find one for cheap for many, many years. But needless to say, they were very wrong. And at least here in Canada, the market really started to dry up for these in about 2018, I want to say. Even before COVID, the market for the Crown Vics really started to dry up. And the cost on them was already going up here. Like I said, we have a lot more rust here in Canada, of course, than a lot of places in the United States. So it makes sense that the market went up faster here price-wise than it did in the States, because the cars are going to the junkyards and all that stuff a lot faster than what they would in most states in the US, besides a couple of them that are really heavily in the Salt Belt. But yeah, so the market really changed around 2018, and I want to say even in 2018, the auction prices about doubled. And then by the time you get 2019, they probably went up another 20-25%. And then by the time you get to COVID, that of course really skyrocketed what was already a double or a triple in the price. So they even doubled again since COVID, and even more since then now, I would say. And now that the RCMP have banned selling their vehicles, or I should say the government of Canada banned selling old police vehicles, even just regular old friggin' Chevy Impalas that never even had lights in them, they won't even sell those at auction. Now, if anything was an RCMP vehicle, they will not be sold at a federal auction or at all. They go straight to the crusher. So that really dried up the market for Crown Victorias, because any that were left in service, which wasn't too many, but there was still a lot in BC and Saskatchewan, Alberta, where they have quite a bit less rust, that dried up the rest of the supply, and it really increased the price again. So it was just a lot of forces causing the price increases in these Crown Vics, especially here in this country, in Canada. So RCMP actually want to be able to sell their vehicles, because they're losing literally tens of millions of dollars a year by not being able to sell their old vehicles. And the worst part is like, I know why they do it, because the guy that caused the shooting and whatnot, but he can literally go to the States or Ontario or do whatever the hell and buy a white Ford Taurus, bring it back, and he could deck it out as an RCMP car, and someone can do the same thing again. Unfortunately, that step is not going to prevent anything from happening. And it's just kind of one of those things, I guess. At least that's my opinion on it. But yeah, so unfortunately, that was really the end of the Crown Vic supply. There's only one other Crown Vic I know of that is still in service in Nova Scotia, and that's out in Rawdon, I believe, which is somewhat close to Truro and Connecticut, somewhere in between there. And it sits as an extra spare, it sits as a spare pool car. And I don't think it has a whole lot of miles, doesn't have any rust on it when someone posted a picture of it there a few months back. That is really the last Crown Vic that I know of in Canada, Nova Scotia that's left. So it really goes to show how times have changed. Yeah, so like I said, guys, if you want one, get one, because they're not getting cheaper and they're not getting any easier to find. All right, folks, it's been an amazing 10 years, and I'm glad to have made this one last outgoing video. I'm going to miss doing Crown Victoria videos. I'll do a few Ford Fusion videos, and I'll especially do one once I get the center caps on it for the winter and whatnot. I think that'll be a cool look to go with the Fusion, to keep at least one part of the Crown Vic kicking around. And I will say, if you live in the snow belt, the Crown Vic is not a bad car in the winter. Once you get some Blizzaks on it, she'll fly through the snow. You just don't stop on a hill and you'll be all right. Because these things have a lot of ride height. They have limited slip differential. She'll go. Don't worry about it. But yeah, guys, it's been a great 10 years. I'm sad I won't be able to do more videos on the Crown Vic, but and I know my viewership, of course, is going to go way down when I go to the Fusion, which is no surprise at all. Like I said, I just won't be doing the videos on that quite like I do the Crown Vic. As good of a car it is, don't get me wrong, and I truly do like it. I thought I was going to hate it when I bought it. Thought I was going to hate it. Well, not hate it. But I thought I was going to regret it, even like after I bought it after a couple of days. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a much more boring car than the Crown Vic. But no, I've actually enjoyed driving it, believe it or not, especially with the electric motor and the hybrid and all that stuff. It's been kind of cool to drive. And honestly, like I said, getting 42 miles per gallon, nothing to balk at. I'm going from 17 miles per gallon. I'm saving a ton of cash already from that. So yeah, it's actually been a very solid vehicle and it's in great shape. I don't have to worry about rust for a long time. So like I said, I am happy with my decision. Just sad that the Crown Vic's going. For the final time, guys, say goodbye to the Crown Victoria. It's truly been fun. I've appreciated all of your support over the last 10 years of me owning Crown Vics and a Grand Marquis over that time. And thank you to those of you that have followed me the entire time. And even if this is your first time watching a video, thank you for doing that as well. I don't blame you if you guys unsubscribe from the channel after this, because I know a lot of you, it's what you stuck to this channel for. So no harm, no foul on that. I don't blame yous. I've had a lot of fun. I really have. The Crown Vic's had a lot of memories for me. Road trips, going 0 to 60, the sound of the alternator whine at full throttle, the sound of that first gear shift, the startup noise. It's all kind of becomes part of you when you own a Crown Vic. You just enjoy the car for what it is and its simplicity. Thank you guys so much, and so long. Long live the Ford Crown Victoria.